Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Inside Politics here on Time Television. We have a very special guest with us, Senator Toby Stavisky, a state senator from Queens. Senator, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, you've served in the Senate since, I think, 2000 or 1999.
November 2nd, 1999.
But for many years before that, you were very active in the community and politically because of your late husband, also was Senator Stavisky. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got into politics, about your husband and how you guys were political together?
Yeah, it's interesting. I had been a high school teacher, history major, got married, and shortly after we were married, I had no involvement in politics whatsoever. Read about government, that was it. And shortly after Leonard and I were married, some folks approached Leonard, asked him if he would run for the assembly against a 14-year incumbent, who was chair of the health committee. We talked it over, and I knew I made the classic mistakes everybody makes until I learned not to say anything and to learn. And I listened and I learned.
What year was that?
That was 1960, late 1965.
Wow.
We had just been married, short time. And he won. He beat the 14-year incumbent. And I learned, and I became more and more involved, originally with the League of Women Voters, as many women tend to do, then with other organizations, and finally, after our son was born, I had some free time, and I was a full-time mother, but on the other hand, I worked for many, many voluntary organizations.
So you have a lot of institutional knowledge. I mean, you've been either elected or in the Senate through your husband for many years and the community. What's the latest update from Albany? What is on? What's going on, and how do you feel about the legislature right now?
Well, we accomplished quite a bit of things we can be proud of. In the past session, we raised the minimum wage. We enacted paid family leave. Unfortunately, we did not do much on ethics reform. That was a disappointment. Campaign finance reform. We should be closing that LLC loophole. We should take a good, close look at outside income of legislators, and we really haven't. There's a lot left to be done, and the DREAM Act certainly was a disappointment.
Sure. Now, you've been a strong advocate for the immigrant community for many, many years. You mentioned the DREAM Act, which our viewers may know will provide tuition assistance to those that are undocumented but have been here for many, many years of their lives and want to go to school. What do you think it will take to get that DREAM Act passed?
A Democratic state Senate. Pure and simple. I hate to be so political. But I think it also, the second part of the answer, really requires an educational effort to explain the DREAM Act. These are not terrorists. These are people who came here as children. Not their fault they're not documented. And every study shows that a college graduate will earn more income. And these young people will be paying more in taxes. There'll be more tax revenue. They're not going to go off to Nassau County to make their purchases. They're going to buy locally. They participate in the community. To me, everybody benefits. We have a state budget of $145 or so billion, and the estimated cost of the DREAM Act is about $26 million. So it's a drop in the bucket.
And what do you think is, without naming the members, but for the people who are not voting for it, what do you think their fear is or their ideological position is?
I think they don't understand it. I think they have to understand that this is not going to do anything other than allow young people to go to college.
Now, you are the ranking member of the Higher Education Committee in the Senate, and you've worked very closely, I know, with CUNY, to support CUNY and to do citizenship drives. Can you tell me more about Citizenship Now and how you've worked with them?
It's a wonderful program. They come every year, several times a year sometimes. We've done it at the Flushing Library. We did it at the YMCA in downtown Flushing, a place that's accessible for everybody. And they have Mr. Wernick also operates Citizenship Now week at one of the community colleges, the Gutman College on I think it's on 40th Street in Manhattan, and I've gone every year to answer questions and so on. CUNY is more than just classrooms. It's also involving the community, and nothing better than to use their experience in helping people become citizens.
Now, you are now representing a very dynamic, eclectic district that is perhaps one of the most bizarrely shaped districts in Queens or the state.
I had nothing to do with it.
Right, I know. I don't think they did it to help you. But when it goes roughly, from what I know, from Oakland Gardens all the way to Jackson Heights, Flushing, Woodside, Elmhurst, you know, the viewership may be very familiar with many of those neighborhoods, especially Jackson Heights, which is sort of the capital of Bangladeshi life in New York City. What does it mean for you to represent such a diverse district and a district that has so many South Asians in it?
There are so many issues, but the common thread that runs through them is the need for a job. It doesn't matter if you're Korean or Chinese or Bangladeshi. You want a job.
Right.
It means a good education for your children. It means security. Walking on the street, which I know is a serious issue in the Bangladeshi community. It means knowing that you have a place to live. And that doesn't take any different attitude for the many, many different ethnic groups. It's the same.
Right.
And I think that's what they have in common. I want to add one other thing, though, about CUNY. I was curious to see what languages they offer. And I went online, and City College is bragging about its Bengali language problem and the success of it. And I understand it's now being offered at LaGuardia Community College. So I think there's a recognition of the growth.
And your name is going to be in Bengali on the ballot, as it has been.
That's correct.
As it has been even the last time.
I had legislation years ago with David Weprin to include not just, but also Punjabi and Hindi, I think.
Right. Now, you know, you mentioned public safety. Unfortunately, we've had some horrible incidents in the last less than a month. Two Bangladeshis were murdered in Ozone Park. Both of them were religious figures. Broad daylight. They were assassinated. Just recently, a couple of days ago, another woman in Jamaica this time, who was also wearing visibly Muslim garb and clothing, was stabbed to death. In both of these situations, it's put the community on edge. You know, a lot of people in this community feel that Donald Trump is inciting hate and rhetoric. Do you see a connection at all between his vitriol and what's going on in the county?
I wish the answer were no.
Yeah.
Most sane people are appalled at what he is saying. Building that wall, we need a president who can build bridges, not walls.
Right.
Who brings people together, who unites communities. His vitriolic statements are horrendous and really not worthy of somebody who grew up in Jamaica Estates.
Right.
I remember his father, who was good to the volunteer ambulance corps.
Okay.
And I met his father at the Jamaica State's Holliswood Ambulance Corps on quite a few occasions where he donated money for the ambulance. Donald Trump has ties to our community. He should know better.
Right. Well, what's your message to the local Muslim American community, not just the Bangladeshi community, with all this Islamophobia that he's preaching, these recent murders that we can't explain, that, you know, some people are saying there should be labeled as hate crimes, whether it gets that way or not, something's going on. And do you think there's something to learn from the Jewish American experience in this country?
Absolutely. We've had instances of swastikas painted on synagogues, and I'm proud to say that the Muslim community, as well as the other groups, stood with the Jewish community. I remember a synagogue in Jackson Heights. I remember a synagogue in Kew Garden Hills, and each time there were representatives of the Muslim community, because a crime against one of us is a crime against all of us.
Well, what's your political advice to the Muslim community, if I could solicit you for some? In this environment, what do you think is the best political advice for this community?
The political advice would be, I think, to listen and work together, listen to the message that the Imam preached, one of unity and hope and light, not darkness and hate. He preached a message of love. I was reading about
Imam Akanji.
Imam Akanji. The message is that we have more in common than that which divides us. And I think by doing the right thing, you can't go wrong.
Right. The state Senate's up for grabs as it is every 2 years. How do you think Donald Trump being a Republican is going to help you get back into the majority?
It's interesting because I haven't been in Albany since June 17th, when session ended. However, during that time, before that, I would see the Republican senators, and I'm friendly with most of them, if not all of them. And, we would needle them, and they were trying to tell us that Donald Trump is going to bring vitality and leadership to it's going to invigorate the Republican conference. I think they're protesting a little too much. I think Donald Trump, people will realize, is so polarizing that we don't need that in this country. And I think Hillary Clinton will have coattails.
Right.
I think that our candidates, we have a good crop of candidates running, particularly in the suburban districts, the districts throughout the state, and Hudson Valley.
Right.
I think we're going to do well.
Right. Well, we're just going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to continue this conversation with Senator Toby Stavisky here on Time Television. Welcome back to Inside Politics here on Time Television. We're continuing our conversation with Senator Toby Stavisky. Senator, so, you have an election coming up on September 13th.
Yes.
How's the race going?
I'll tell you on September 14th.
Right.
You never know. Anybody who takes their election for granted is going to be a former legislator.
Right.
I think you have to work hard throughout the year. You just can't campaign the last 2 or 3 months. And I've been working hard. I've been to hundreds of events. We did a survey, over 200 events. And that's spending January through June, 3 days a week in Albany. So I get around the district. I'm there all the time, different parts of the district. And I think hopefully the people will realize that I understand the issues and I have a record in which I'm running.
Sure. If the Democrats do make the majority, and what would be your top 3 priorities for the conference?
My top 3 priorities would be to provide a better balance of educational funding for New York City. Okay. The suburban districts have really had a disproportionate share because of Dean Skelos and the Republican majority. I think we've got to provide a balance. So education is obviously a main one. Secondly, affordable housing. We appropriated $2 billion in the state budget in April for affordable housing. And unfortunately, the legislative leaders did not sign the memorandum of understanding that's required of where the money is going to be spent, and therefore it's just sitting there. And we'll sit there probably until next year. Obviously, higher ed, whether it be the DREAM Act, the problem of affordable college for young people is something where I do have a direct, I can have a direct influence on, and that's an area. I got to have a couple more though, because I think the economy is an important issue, and we've got to protect our small businesses.
Sure.
Particularly the WMBE, and I've held forums, for example, trying to encourage minority businesses, minority women-owned businesses, to apply for the WMBE status, because it will help with bidding on state contracts, among other things. So I think all of these issues are important. Jobs, small business, education, housing, higher ed, these are all important issues.
There's an issue that people in this community have been talking about related to halal food being offered in public schools. Halal, as you know, are kosher.
I know that.
Right. And so, obviously in certain districts or in certain neighborhoods, there's a higher population. Yes. Do you think that's an issue that can succeed?
Yes.
How do you think we can get it to happen?
It's interesting. There's a school in Flushing, PS 244 on Franklin Avenue in downtown Flushing, that serves organic food.
Okay.
And the kids love it.
Right.
I think that in schools in downtown Flushing, you should have Chinese food available when there's a majority of students who, and I think it has to be an option.
Right.
I think not forcing, but I think having that as an option, I think would be a very interesting
You know, the DOE
idea.
says that you either got to do the whole city system has to be it, or you can't do pockets. It doesn't make sense to me, though.
DOE is like a big battleship.
Right.
It's hard to turn around.
Right.
I think that mayoral control is an important issue that they're interested in, and there can be trade-offs.
Right.
Not quid pro quos, but I'm
Sure.
talking about being sensitive to the needs of the community. For example, I think the mayor's office was sensitive to the Lunar New Year issue for the Asian community. They have to be sensitive to other issues as well, and halal food is certainly one of them.
Right. So, Senator, if people want to help out with your campaign and help you in the next couple of days leading up to the election, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, my website is stavisky.com, and the campaign headquarters, which is located at 37-02 Main Street, corner of 37th Avenue in downtown Flushing. The phone number is 718-888-1850.
Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us again here on Inside Politics for Time Television. Remember, September 13th is the election. We need everybody to get out of the house and go and vote for whoever you believe in. Today, you met Senator Stavisky. If you live in Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, Oakland Gardens, Flushing, I encourage you to visit her website and learn more about her. Remember, September 13th is election. Inshallah, you'll be able to vote. Thank you.